Miller, and I'll be presenting our pre-ACT school report for St. Clair County High Schools. Why do we talk about this? We're here to talk about the most recent pre-ACT results, what those results mean for us and our students, and we're also going to talk about a portion of the results that doesn't get a lot of attention, and that's the career interest inventory. So we'll get to that, but who takes the pre-ACT? Sophomores take it in the fall, and we're going to look a little bit closer at the class of sophomores that took it this last fall. Demographics, there are 167 students, 80 males, 80 males and 84 females. No, that does not add up to 167. There were 3 students who did not take the test. However, you need to know that all of the percentages that are reported through ACT are based off 167 students, not the actual 164 that took it. So some of it, needs to take a little grain of salt. Now, what does the class look like? Here is our racial and ethnic makeup. No surprise, 75% white. It says 0% for American Indian, Alaskan Native. That's a little misleading. There's one who identified that way, but the percentage was so low that it registers as 0. 4% Hispanic Latino, 1% Asian, 2 or more races, 6%, 2% preferred not to respond at all to that question, and then 12% Black African American. So this is what the class looks like in terms of gender and race. All right. So before we look at the scores they made, let's look and see what the ACT benchmarks are. What are benchmarks? They're the scores that indicate college readiness. These are the scores that predict how a student would do if they took that subject in a first-year college course. If they meet or exceed the benchmark, then they have a 50% chance of getting a B or higher in that course, 75% chance of getting a C or higher. So what are the benchmarks that ACT set? In the 4 subjects, English, math, reading, and science, 18, 22, 22, and 23, and then they use the math and science scores to create a 5th benchmark, STEM scores. And it's always going to be higher than the traditional regular math and science. The rationale is a STEM-related first-year course is going to be more difficult than just a regular first-year course. So you need a higher score in STEM to do well in those courses. All right, and that comes up with a composite score of 22.2. Now, how did our students do compared to the benchmarks? Anywhere from 4 to 7, and if you're looking at the STEM, 9.5 points below what the benchmark is, what they need. This is a little disheartening. There's some reason for concern here. One thing you need to keep in mind is our students don't have a lot of incentive to do well on this. It's not like it's an ACT where it's tied to them getting into college. It's not tied to them being promoted or retained in the grade level. It's just there. It's not even tied to, oh, you didn't make, this high on the pre-ACT, so you can't take this advanced course, which, that happens in some schools. Our kids have none of that to worry about, so it's difficult for them to take this seriously. Also, even the ACT organization recognizes that there's a year and a half between the pre-ACT and the ACT, and they expect a lot of growth and more content that the kids get under their belt during that time. So not meeting a benchmark here doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to meet the benchmark on the ACT. That said, there's still reason for concern here. There's a big gap below those scores. Here's another visual just to give you a little bit easier look at it. The green at the top, that's good. That means these kids are on target. They're good to go. The band in the middle, they're right on the cusp. A little bit of push, and they're going to be where we need them to be. It's the blue on the bottom where the concern is. These are kids in need. So, as you can see, STEM has the largest amount of kids in need. That's to be expected. English has the lowest amount. English also has the lowest benchmark. So, that gives you an idea of what, a good visual of what it looks like. Now, I want to focus a little bit on the career interest inventory and the planned coursework. Okay, and this isn't a part that gets a whole lot of attention, but that's what I want to look at. The reason students take the pre-ACT is number 1, to make sure they're taking the courses that they need to be prepared for the actual ACT. Number 2, to make sure they're taking courses that they need to be prepared for whatever they have planned for after high school, and that's what I want to look at today. All right, students fill out a career interest inventory, and they answer a question about their high school coursework. Now, I have some concerns about how they answer those questions about their high school coursework. I think there's some issues that need to be addressed in terms of students understanding what coursework they have had, but we're gonna work with information that we have, all right? So this is what it tells us about their career plans. Good news is, they all plan on graduating. This is a big thing because some of these students are ninth graders that I had in my classes last year, where I watched them in class and I was like, you were just obviously waiting it out. I mean, I had the impression they were just obviously waiting until that day to graduate. There was no pretense whatsoever in engaging. But when push came to shove and they had to put on paper, they say they're gonna graduate. So that's something to celebrate. Now, once they do graduate, are the plans that they're making fitting with what they're doing right now? Here are the career fields that they said they wanted to go into. Lots of kids, a pretty good chunk of the kids all say they want to go into 2-year junior college, 4-year university, even onto graduate professional study. That's good. That's something else to celebrate. Lots of kids into career and technical. There's some great careers in there. We got a little 4% of other over here. We don't know what they're going to do, but they have plans. So, that's good. But we've got 10% undecided, 7% who didn't even bother to respond to the question, and then no plans, 2%. That came out to 3 students. They have no plans whatsoever. That's concerning. The undecided, what I found most interesting about the group of kids in the undecided category is that a whole lot of those had a 20 or 21 on the pre-ACT, and those are kids who, they have a lot of options open to them. Why are they not at least considering? You would think students like that. Even with the one that was most surprising to me, the student who scored the highest made a 27, sitting up there in the undecided category. Those students need some guidance. We need to be catching them and helping them figure out what they're gonna do. All right, so their coursework, is it lining up with what they plan to do? These are the percentages of students who are actually taking coursework that puts them on the college path. Of the students who plan on going to a 4-year university or later on to graduate professional studies, half of them are not taking the coursework that's going to get them there. The undecided kids are taking better college-aligned coursework than the ones who say that they're going to go. I feel like we've got a guidance issue here. We've had these test results. We know this. We know this, in the fall of their 10th grade year. That gives us, a lot of time to get these kids back on track where they need to be. So, this report highlights some problems that can be headed off as early as the 9th grade, now that we know what to look for. And this report gives us what to look for. I think we already have a mechanism in class to address this. We have that 7th period advisory class, okay? Let's make it a real advisory class. For a lot of people, it's just a study hall, okay? We need to start in the 9th grade. I've seen programs like this. I've worked in a school that had a program where we had a class like this. We were given their test scores. We were given their transcripts. We were given information that would help us sit down with them and say, hey, this is what you want to do. You're not doing what you need to get there. We can start that in the 9th grade and go all the way through high school and help them with that. We need to clarify those college track courses so those kids, when they graduate and they think, oh, I did great in high school, and they get to college and they end up in remedial courses, we don't want them there. We want them to succeed. We needed, career explorations for these kids who are undecided. They have no plans. Didn't even bother to respond. This needs to be all the way throughout high school, not a one and done, oh, you've decided, we checked your courses, you're good. They need to be getting guidance throughout high school. We've only got 2 guidance counselors for the whole school. They can't do it all. We've got this mechanism built in already. And then I think we need to spend some time on clarifying demographics on the pre-ACT, helping kids understand how to answer that, because otherwise this information is useless. So, and this is good information to have, so let's make sure we're getting it, because we can use it to help plan their whole high school career. All right, that's what I have. Thank you.